We are entering deep and dark waters of SHTF. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I ran 45 seconds of introductory videos because some idiot on YouTube decided to complain that that's not necessary, that's not needed. And I'm like, dude, if you watch any television show for the past, I don't know, 70 years, how come they always have 1, 2, 3 minute intros? Not to mention commercials, bumpers, all kinds of shit. You know, give me a fucking break. When we start this show at the very beginning, people like to know there's the intro, and they're like, okay, the intro's on, I've got a few seconds. They get all fucking comfy. They get their coffee, they get their beer, their drink, they get settled in, and then we talk. This is not a 30-second TikTok, I'm an idiot video. This is not cats playing with fucking yarn. This is shit hitting the fan, and we need to have a talk. Now, I know you guys are here right now live on Patreon, and you're not a bunch of fucking idiots. And I know you guys gorilla fund this channel. I'm very, very appreciative. And you know what to expect. You've been here a long time. If you are on YouTube watching this, though, you're behind the curve. You need to get on Patreon. It's only $2 a month, 7 cents a day. And you get to Monday through Friday. Join in the live Q&A. I do the first 30 minutes every afternoon. Pow, do my monologue. Then you guys get 30 minutes of Q&A where we sit down and discuss. If you got a question, if you got a comment, if you've got a statement, you want to say what you think and what you believe. Hey, folks, we allow that. You know, well, provided we don't, you know, upset any big tech corporations. That's the last thing any of us want to do, right? Well, there's a lot of people right now who are having meltdowns, folks. They're melting down. While it's humorous and funny, it also has foreboding qualities, right? Like we know what's coming. CNN is at a total meltdown. And you would expect that from the most trusted name in news, wouldn't you? The most trusted name in news has a meltdown, and they claim that Republicans won Virginia because of racist dog whistles. Now, they invented this term in relatively recent times, dog whistles. In other words, when you blow a dog whistle, only dogs hear it and only dogs react, right? That's the kind of the claim they've got is it's a dog whistle. You see some super secret Republican with a decoder ring creates special words that only racist Republicans hear. Whether they're white or black or Hispanic or Native American or Asian or any race at all, they're dog whistles. And it causes you to start barking. And see, liberals can't hear it, but now they're onto us, folks, dog whistles. Get the fuck out of here. These people are nuts. But folks, it was different when they were nuts and they had no power. Now these leftist idiots way over here, they've got lots of power and authority, don't they? And they are a very dangerous bunch of people. Dangerous, folks, really dangerous. Well, what do we want to talk about next? Folks, there's so much I can't talk about. In fact, a couple of channels I'm aware of have gotten strikes in the past couple of days for doing nothing. YouTube is furious. They're melting down. They're having a meltdown at YouTube because of this election and the fact that the country does not want to be way over here, off the fucking screen. They don't want to be off the screen. They want to be front and center. Well, folks, they're not. They're extremists, and they are way off the screen. Unbelievable. So we have to be extremely careful now. Extremely careful talking about anything. I don't want to give any misinformation, yada, 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 right? Anyways, there's a doctor. His name is Zelenko. And I can't tell you what he says, but I can tell you if you're a member of Patreon, you can go watch his video. Right here on Patreon, you can click on the link to other doctors and people who on YouTube aren't allowed to offer their opinion. Not allowed. But I did link to a video, folks, that was like 8 or 9 months old. And I found it. I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe this hasn't been taken down. So when that happens, if it's a live, real video on YouTube that's a subject that I think we should hear, yeah, I'll post it on the channel. Otherwise, you've got to go to Patreon to get the really good stuff where it's not being censored. But yeah, I can't tell you what various doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, nuclear medicine techs, or others tell me. But there is some very strange things happening. Very strange things happening. There was an article that came out, and then I thought, well, this is kind of an anecdotal report, meaning it's not scientific. It's just some opinion about some things that are happening. And surprisingly, after reading this article, I had a friend get a hold of me and say, you wouldn't believe what's going on in my hospital. So the article says something really strange is happening at hospitals all over America. It says emergency rooms are filled to overflowing all over America, and nobody can seem to explain why this is happening. With less people catching cerveza bug, you would think that would mean that our emergency rooms should be emptying out, but the opposite is actually happening. ERs are swamped with seriously ill patients. Inside the emergency department at Sparrow Hospital in Lansing, Michigan, staff members are struggling to care for patients, showing up much sicker than they've ever seen. Months of treatment delays for normal hospital patients have exacerbated chronic conditions and worsened symptoms. Doctors and nurses say the severity of illnesses ranges widely and includes abdominal pains, respiratory problems, blood clots, heart conditions, and suicide attempts. Kind of odd, among other conditions. Now, there's no mention of what you think this should be about, but what do you think this is all about? So this friend of mine says that her hospital is swamped. Also, not up in Lansing, Michigan, but down in the Southwest. And I thought I need more details. I have yet to get too many details, but it is so bad that staff is quitting because they feel the conditions, working conditions are unsafe because there's so many sick. So, you know, where I'm at here, I don't hear these things. So it seems like maybe around the country, they're starting to have hospitals, you know, maybe, here's an idea, maybe if their hospitals were fully staffed, maybe if they hadn't fired 20, 30, or 40% of their staff, they could handle what's going on. But yeah, something strange really is happening, folks, and we need to keep our eyes open, right? Our ears open and watch what is happening. There have been a lot of predictions, folks, but let's watch what is happening. Oh, by the way, you know, thinking of a world that's falling apart. Yeah, garbage world, Democrat garbage world. That's not a new theme park, but it could be a theme park. Garbage is piling up and continues to pile up in New York City. It's just being thrown into the streets now. Folks, when you think about third world shitholes, even some second world cities, you know, that's where you expect to see garbage in the streets. It's absolute filth, but all they need is people to pick it up. Well, in New York City, they're not picking up the garbage, folks, and it's piling up because they lost their sanitation workers because of cerveza bug. It's interesting. It's interesting how many people are saying, you know what, F you, not doing it, not going to do it, and then they are quitting. I'm not going to buy this story that everyone is capitulating, that everyone's giving in, that they're just letting themselves be pushed around. It's not happening that way, folks. Union Pacific, the railroad, has basically backed off of the mandate and says, we're not going to do it. We're not going to push it because only 44% have gotten the Jim Jones juice, meaning 56% have said no way. Interesting that union workers sound like they are above and beyond all other sectors of the economy, right? Railroad union workers are saying, no fucking way, I'm not taking that shit. You know what I mean? There's police unions, fire department unions, there's manufacturing unions, there are other businesses and corporations where people are saying no way. Hospitals, as we've been discussing. It's crazy stuff, folks. But some corporations are being forced, like the airlines, like Southwest. You know, of course, you know, that didn't stop them from having an unmasked party, but there you go. It is going off the hook, folks. And this was nice to hear about, right? In Racine County, Wisconsin, we heard last week that the sheriff discovered some criminal activity with regard to Wisconsin election commissioners. They pointed out the problems, found the crime, and now they have referred the criminal charges to the district attorney. And this is how it's supposed to work. When the sheriffs or the police discover a crime, they refer it to the people who prosecute it, or they go arrest people. Crime should equal arrests. So Wisconsin, 2 weeks in, is looking to arrest people. Arizona has been working on something, you know, like a tax audit for a long time, and they still haven't arrested anybody. We need to get this shit going, right? It needs to happen. It's good to see that Wisconsin is taking some very quick, normal steps in regard to upholding the law and punishing others, just as Florida is looking to create law enforcement to ensure morality, decency, ethics, right? And lawful behavior by all officials in the government. Very fascinating stuff. Whereas you could look at what happened up in New Jersey, and apparently a worker was filmed and saying, I'll let you fill out a ballot right now, saying this to a non-citizen who was not registered to vote. Looking kind of weird, huh? I'm not saying that there's anything illegal there. What do I know? I'm not in New Jersey. You know, I'm not making any accusations, just saying a couple of facts, folks. And let's just say this. If one little mistake is made, we're going to end up in a shooting war with Iran or China. China is continuing to rattle sabers and is continuing to fly its jets and other military equipment all over the place, including messing with Taiwan. And Iran is having some nasty fun, if you will, floating around the Strait of Hormuz area and threatening U.S. warships with their fast attack boats. And they pointed, right, aimed their machine guns at the naval ships. They didn't shoot. But one little mistake, folks, from some peon, some pissant, right, decides he's going to take a couple of shots and start a conflict. We need to be very aware of that, folks. And we could end up in a war very quickly, which would cause our government to once again make claims, right, to take actions that put us at risk. We, the American people, right now are at risk because the government of the United States in D.C., where is it today? The government in D.C. seems to think that parents, American parents of American children, are domestic terrorists. The U.S. D.C. government seems to think that veterans of the branches of the military are potential terror threats. The U.S. government up in Washington, D.C. seems to think that protesters, nonviolent protesters, need to be held without due process in prison and denied legal representation and denied, well, trials, court dates, etc. So we need to be very aware and very careful, knowing that the government up in DC isn't acting like the government that we would think it should be. So one little mistake and a lot of attitudes could change. Now, speaking of changing attitudes, this has been a major story all day long. Big Pharma, company called Pfizer. Ever heard of it? It's running an ad promoting the Jim Jones juice and telling kids they're going to get superpowers. Now, I remember when I was a teenager, they started cracking down on Joe Camel and Spuds MacKenzie, saying that cigarette companies and beer companies shouldn't use mascots and cartoons to promote their products. In other words, promoting their products using not reality is wrong. But I guess it's different because we all know that the Food and Drug Administration has said everything is just fine. Everything is just fine. So because of that, I guess it's okay to tell children that they'll get superpowers. Unbelievable. Manipulation. Talk about misrepresenting stuff. You don't get superpowers, folks, from taking any fucking drugs. I mean, some people think they can fly and they jump off a building. I guess when they take I don't know what drug that would be, cocaine, speedballs. I don't know. I'm not a drug person. Anyways, there is going to be an exodus like you cannot believe. San Francisco is going to require 5-year-old children down to the age of 5-year-old, to carry passports and show proof. Children as young as 5 being required to carry passports and show proof of who they are. That's San Francisco, folks. Just leave. Just leave. There's nothing there. Look, I've been to San Francisco many times. Fisherman's Wharf, right, Pier 39, fun, yay. Gone over, got some Ghirardelli chocolate, you betcha. Levi Strauss factory, okay. That funny looking building on the hill, the Pyramid Tower, all of the stuff, that the Bay Bridge, the Golden Gate, the Presidio, the Fort, Alcatraz, San Francisco, I get it. I get it. Just leave. There is nothing there that you can't get anywhere else. Leave these Democrat-run socialist shitholes. Get your kids out, get yourselves out. Go to freedom, folks, at this point. Go to freedom. You need to be prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. You need those things. But you can have them in a place where you're more free. I mean, at this point, I am so overly disgusted with the shit they're doing, telling kids they're going to be superheroes and get superpowers. Everything I've read about this, children have just fantastic immune systems. They're resilient, they're tough, everything, right? Leave the kids alone, but no, they will not, folks. They're not. Just leave now. It is unbelievable, folks. Now, this is an interesting one. At Ford Motor Company, they have issued their own mandates for salaried employees only, but it's not applicable to union employees. Well, you see, Ford can't fire union employees, but they can fire salaried employees. To me, this sounds like it's not only unconstitutional, but it's a discriminatory corporate policy. It's discriminating. It's saying that these do and these don't. What's the difference? Well, one they can't fire easily, the others they can. It's discriminatory. They're not treating all employees the same. Now, I know one's union, one's management, got it, or salaried. It's all bullshit, folks. It needs to stop. We're exposing it from every which way, from every angle we can think of. They're trying to destroy America. Every little piece they'll get. At some point, they would love to fire the unionized people or just shut a plant down and say, that's what you get, fuck you. Now, I know the unions at the ports, the West Coast ports, they're about to go into very soon contract negotiations. These are the same union workers that can't manage to unload the ships, to clear the ports, to put the containers on trucks, to drive the trucks out of the port. They can't manage to do that all right now. Why don't we just fire them all together, these unions down there? Fuck it. Bring in scabs, right? And I know if you're union workers out there, you're not going to like hearing that kind of talk coming from me. You know, you just want a good salary. Well, while you're negotiating salaries, why don't you get those fucking ships unloaded? All I've seen is video after video of nothing happening at the ports while this country goes to shit. Now, if the unions go on 100% strike, it'll get even worse. Instead of lollygagging, there'll be no gagging, you know. But it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, folks. Now, here's something I can't say anything about. No, I can't say shit. I can't say anything about this because we're going to get in trouble for it, folks. I have so much good information on Patreon for you, and I'm glad we have Patreon, folks. I'm glad. Now, I can tell you this story, that in the state of New Jersey, a truck driver, a regular dude like you and me, just a regular guy, could have been a regular gal, it's a regular guy. He defeated the second most powerful Democrat in the state of New Jersey. Second most powerful. I believe the this person he beat was the New Jersey Senate President, Steve Sweeney. Edward Dewar is a commercial truck driver, decided to run for the Senate. There is so much folks, there is so much anti-Democrat sentiment that he won. Now, let me tell you how much he spent. You're probably wondering, is he a big name? You ever heard of Edward Dewar before a couple of days ago? Probably not. He's not a billionaire. He's not a millionaire. He doesn't own a company or anything. He is a truck driver. And this is how much he spent on his campaign. $153. That's it. Folks, not $153,000. He spent $153. He got some business cards, and most of that money was spent on donuts, Dunkin' Donuts. That was his campaign, giving his volunteers and helpers Dunkin' Donuts. And he beat the second most powerful New Jersey politician, Steve Sweeney. Beat his ass bad too, folks. It's official. Unbelievable. One of the probably biggest political upset in all of American history. Now, I know the man who was elected mayor of a city, the youngest mayor ever elected, 18 years old. I know who he is. That's a huge upset. That happened a long time ago, probably 30-something years ago. But this year, folks, at this time, in this day and age, in this political environment, this speaks incredible volumes that Americans have fucking had enough of this crazy-ass left-wing shit. Prep to action. We're not there yet, folks. This isn't the end. We haven't won the war. But we're fighting the battle better this year than we did last. We're doing better this year than 2 years ago, this year than 3 years ago. We need to continue this sort of pressure and putting out real effort. And it starts with you. This truly is grassroots. The disgust and anger over children and schools, the disgust and anger over all of the LGBT crap in the corporate world, all of the critical race theory in the corporate world, I went nuts last year, folks, and got a hold of Coca-Cola corporate because of their crap over people being too white. Right? It's too much. They're off the fucking hook, and now they're going to pay for it. Joe Biden and what he has done to the military, his abandonment of Americans and our allies in Afghanistan, all of these things, folks, are adding up. What they did in 2020, the riots that were allowed and encouraged, right? All of these things matter, and they're all starting to have an effect. I've read a lot of articles that blame it all on the schools, that Americans wouldn't stand up for themselves, that they wouldn't stand up for themselves. Us Americans, nope, not for ourselves, not for our neighbors, but they pissed us off as parents and grandparents by what they're doing in the schools, right? Allowing boys into girls' bathrooms and then covering up incidents of rape, hiding it, right? And most of what has happened in the last couple of days has been the East Coast, the Northeast, right, which is a liberal, left-wing, super socialist stronghold way over on the left, right? But that's not the war. These are a couple of battles. Shit has hit the fan. It's not close to being over. It's good to see some victories, but we aren't anywhere close. Nowhere close, folks. Oh, by the way, there's a groundbreaking Israeli study showing how spike proteins are a problem for our health. You want the article, you got to go to Patreon because I can't tell you anymore. You can kind of guess what it's about, though. You can kind of guess, I'm sure, but I can't say any more than that. Otherwise, you know, someone could mistake me for doing something wrong. And here's another one. In Australia, a nurse is speaking out about people being injured in the hospitals. And that's all I can say. Once again, it's all I can say, folks. There's articles all over the internet, like the one that I read to start with, talking about how hospitals are being filled with people with all sorts of health conditions. And a lot of people say that's, well, because hospitals have basically been shut down for a year and people couldn't do their remedial, fundamental, basic health checks. The consequences of that are all sorts of problems now being far worse than they would otherwise be. And, you know, it's quite incredible where they're going with all of this. It's quite incredible. Folks, shit has hit the fan. They want to silence me. They want to silence us. I need everyone on YouTube over on Patreon, all that we can get, because one of these days I could just poof, disappear. Again, I want to thank Mr. T for doing all the great promos. Right now, he's had a hell of a time too, folks. They're trying to stop everyone from doing anything on YouTube. Unbelievable. Oh, we didn't even wait. Jolene jumped into it before I even did my little it's time for the Q&A crossover bumper, which I love doing, but let's just get right into it. William Travis says, I'm a FedEx driver and I'm hardly ever home. Can't take anything with me to work. What do we do if takeover happens while we are at work? Oh, I see what you're saying. You're concerned about self-defense, William. Well, I get it. Yeah, you're in a FedEx truck. You're a driver. There's policies against having gardening tools with you. Can't be spreading any freedom seeds while you're driving the FedEx truck. So you said, I can't take my tools, my gardening stuff to work. What do I do if a takeover, something bad happens? Well, stay tuned, right? We got to stay tuned and stay on top of it. So a lot of times you just need to disconnect. You need to disconnect, shut everything off and relax. I try doing it a little every day here and there. But for the most part, you can check your phone every half hour, every hour. I'm sure you do already. Make sure nothing is falling apart. If something falls apart, if something goes haywire, like, I don't know, China invading the West Coast, China invading the Gulf Coast, Florida breaking off and falling into the ocean. Who knows what could happen? But if something really big happens while you're at work, you just get back in your FedEx truck and you say, fuck it, and you make a turn for home. And I know what you're saying. You're hardly ever home, because what's going on with FedEx right now is they're being, run ragged. Same with, I guess, UPS. Amazon can't seem to do their job right either. It's incredible what's going on in this country. Right? It's incredible how it's fallen apart under the Biden administration. It's amazing how our country has fallen apart as a consequence of cerveza bug, the hysteria, the wave after wave of, oh my God, it's all gonna end and we're all gonna die, blah, all that shit. I'm starting to listen. I'm starting to hear that some hospitals in certain parts of the country are being overrun. And to me, I'm thinking, could those places where the hospitals are being overrun, could they have gotten in that general area a more potent version, a really strong dose of Kool-Aid? Could that be why some areas are far worse than others? Or could it just be that some areas, they have a much higher percentage of the population loves Kool-Aid, and that's why they're having trouble? It's interesting. Now we got Jolene, the prepared mother, says philosopher Noam Chomsky recently said, quote, "Let them starve," end quote, in regards to those of us who are non-compliant with the mandate, who for those who can't get groceries without a grocery passport. How long until we start hearing this rhetoric on mainstream media? Well, number one, Noam Chomsky can suck it. He can eat a dick. I'm not a big Noam fan. Yeah, he's a real philosopher, all right. I have a lot of problems with some of these self-appointed gurus out here who think that they are true philosophers, who offer nothing but logical fallacy in support of their political perspectives. But enough of picking on false prophets, if we shall. Just had to say that one. They're teachers. Prophets are teachers. Noam Chomsky, he's teaching people to treat others to what used to be illegal to do. It used to be illegal, 100% illegal to what? To discriminate. Now it's good to discriminate. Yeah, let them starve. Folks, I have heard enough of this already on shows like The View, CNBC. The attitude is, well, they're just not going to be allowed in the stores then, and they just leave it at that. Well, if you don't get the Kool-Aid, the Jim Jones juice, if you don't get that, you just can't go shopping. You can't go to bars. You can't go to restaurants. You can't go to entertainment venues. They're leaving out the consequences of stopping people from being able to participate in life. That means you can't have a job, you can't make money, and you can't go spend the money that you don't have. That results in people losing their homes, losing their lives, starving, folks. Children starving. They want to, and they've talked about, well, if you don't drink your Kool-Aid, you won't be allowed in a hospital. You should be, they've made this argument, you should be denied medical care. Well, I thought Barack fucking Obama said healthcare access is a human right. Well, I'm pretty sure, since I haven't changed my DNA, since I haven't reprogrammed my DNA, I actually am a human. I am a man, a freeborn man. I'm a free man. My DNA hasn't been manipulated or changed. So according to Barack Obama, I should not be denied healthcare, access to healthcare. I shouldn't be denied food, because without food, I die. So what they're saying and suggesting and pointing to is they want to deny us sustenance, food, water, by taking away our jobs, shelter, clothing, medicine. It's coming, folks. Wait until these people who are sick in the head, who have shown us that they have no heart, wait until they start having other heart conditions, like they're just cold. These problems are going to become worse as winter descends upon us. Now, I am right here in the Prepared Mind bunker, quite comfortable. It's always a steady 69, 70 degrees in here. You get used to it, right? But there's other areas of the country where it's going to get cold. And people with cold hearts are going to wish for evil for everyone. It's bad, folks. Yeah, someone like Noam Chomsky, let them starve. We should be denied medical services. We should not be allowed in restaurants or grocery stores. Kids shouldn't be allowed in school. Right? Unbelievable, folks, where they're going with this. Let's see what else we've got next there, Jolene. What else have we got cooking? Right? We got Bonnie Blue. Does John know this morning's YouTube Live was also Super Chat? $10 in funds were sent. I did not know that, Bonnie Blue. I did. It's funny, though. It was also on my situational awareness. What happened is I pushed a button for, I believe, the Prepared Mind BC, and it broadcast onto that channel as well, live, right? And normally I do a live recording, and then Jolene edits it and releases it. Well, this one just went out live altogether, and I noticed up in the corner of the screen, and I was like, it's saying there's a number of people watching. There's a couple hundred people here watching. And it was pretty funny. I was like, well, was my situational awareness wrong? No, my interpretive awareness was wrong. I should have seen that number and realized what it was about. But unlike situational awareness, say in a dangerous area of a city, a dangerous store, restaurant, bar, when I'm in the prepared bunker, there is no danger. So my situational awareness for threats is pretty low. I'm just trying not to say words that get me in trouble. That's really where we're at. Anyways, glad that I got a $10 super chat donation. That's pretty cool. Now we got Let's Go Brandon. He says this. He says, another YouTuber made a panic video over China, urging citizens to stock up on food. He was headed to a store to fill his gaps. This also urged me to spend several more hundred. You bet, folks. Now, I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm not yelling and fear-mongering and fear-porning everyone, right? I'm saying, look around, listen, what's going on? Is this normal America? Now, in China, the government allegedly did tell their people, you better start stocking up on food. We're going to have shortages. Why they would say that, I don't know. Did they really say that? I don't know. I don't speak Chinese. Nope, not even going to make an attempt. I'll speak some Spanglish every now and then, but Chinese, no. In fact, if I did, I'm sure that I would be accused of cultural appropriation, or some sort of racial meanness. But yeah, China supposedly saying, folks, going to be food shortages. And so people are doing what they can to get stocked up. Now, that's telling Americans pretty much the same thing. What are we seeing? Higher food costs, higher food costs, higher fuel costs, higher energy costs. Let's see, food, water, shelter, clothing. Yeah, all of the things we need, they're going up in price. Well, if food has gone up 50%, 25% in a year, then everything you're stocking up on now is going to be worth more, right? A lot more. In other words, you're buying it at an extreme discount. Or you could say, buying this food is like an investment, right? If I buy too much today, next month and the month after, I won't be buying any. And it's going to be 15% higher, 10% higher then. Certainly in a year, it's going to be at least 10%. Folks, we're seeing 50%. I've seen 100% increases in the cost of beef in the area I'm in. Now, for a while, I was like, hey, I'm doing pretty good here. Everyone else is seeing, 15, 20, 30% increases. And then pow, I got bitch slapped with 100% markup on ground chuck. I was like, well, what the hell am I supposed to eat now? I guess it's back to the cans. Oh, spam. Oh, anyways, stock up. Good idea. Panic? No. Awareness? Yes. Being a prepper? Right? You betcha. Yeah, so people are spending money. They're doing it. And the stores, because of shortages in material and foods and other goods, and you're going to start seeing some odd shit on the shelves. Keep an eye on it. I keep getting pictures, folks, from Costco. Different Costcos around the country. People are sending me pictures of shelves that are empty in bulk stores like Costco, Sam's Club. Hearing about it from Walmart and grocery stores. Right? Interesting stuff. So Jay Clifton checks in and he says, my sister is in a high position at a credit union in California. She's the highest ranking employee in her building and has been seeing meetings with people she has only heard of. I believe something's about to happen with our financial system. We'll definitely let you know if I find out something from her. I really do appreciate that, Jay. I believe you've got my email. Keep me informed. Credit unions. There's a lot been going on with banks, a lot of concern with the majors, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Chase, Citibank, those type of banks, Wells Fargo, those big bank chains. There's been a lot of concern over keeping large amounts of cash there. Credit unions are a little different. But still, there's a lot of concern over what's going on with the value of our currency, the desire, the push in agenda to going to a cashless system eventually and replacing it with a digital currency. I know that talk's been going on for quite some time. I got a letter from a former military intelligence officer who served in the Army at Fort Bragg. At least that's where he was stationed. And very interesting stuff, folks, is going on behind the scenes. I wish I knew more. I wish I could say more. I wish YouTube would allow me to say what needs to be said. All I can tell you, the most important thing you can do is be prepared. Be prepared for everything. And you can do that, whether it's a banking collapse or a pipeline being shut down or something bad happening to San Francisco, like they quit delivering syringes, right? Whatever the crisis is, power outage, riots, whatever it is, the same things are needed: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Hurricane, tornado, snowstorm, what did they call that? A bomb cyclone, polar vortex, right? We've got all these coronal mass ejection, all of these promises, tsunami of things that could get us. The same things are needed to survive all of this, folks. Now, Uman says, if we have done a little bit of prepping every week all along and continue to do a little bit every week, there will be no need to panic. Nothing ever good comes from panicking. And words of wisdom coming from Uman. You bet, man. There should never be any panic. Now, from preppers, what I do know that is now this channel grew in the month of September. We grew 10,000 subscribers. The month of October, we grew 900. Isn't that incredible how they shut us down? But there's 10,000 new subscribers. Out of those subscribers, a lot of them, folks, have come over to Patreon. Out of them, right, we've got a lot of new people who have just started prepping. And so they are in a bit of a panic, and it's understandable. They're like, holy shit, I just woke up and realized what's going on. I need to get prepared, right? So they do, they start. It's completely understandable that they're going to be worried and going out, and they're going to be buying a lot. Now, when I go out to make a purchase, right, I go out and I buy a case of Spam, 24 cans, because I just finished eating 24 cans. So it goes into my shopping cart, and people kind of look at me funny. They're like, "You sure eat a lot of Spam there, white boy?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." But you've just got to do what you've got to do. Try not to look like you're prepping, I guess, could be some good advice. You don't want anyone making a notation. Oh, we got John Q. Smith. He's bought 10 pounds of rice, a case of Spam, a case of chili. He might be one of those wacko crazy people that actually sees what is really happening out here. Yes, you bet. So I do think Uman is right, though, and it's recommended, right? Do a little bit of prepping every week. If you drive to work every day, then you don't have to buy everything in one big shot at Sam's or Costco. On the weekend, you could probably pick things up a little here and a little there, and kind of relax a bit. There's no need to panic, but I would say this, and I'll go this far, and I don't want this misinterpreted, but I think a sense of urgency is needed in America. A sense of urgency over our politics, a sense of urgency over our military, a sense of urgency over our infrastructure, our children in schools, a sense of urgency over the social destruction that's going on, a sense of urgency over the manipulation of our mentality, right? America, land of the free, home of the brave. People are standing up. They're saying what needs to be said. Finally, good. But they're coming down on us. The reason YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram, the reason all of these companies, folks, have started censoring us over elections, they've censored us over medical stuff, because they don't want an opinion that is contrary to the agenda to be out there, right? So they have to silence us, right? So we can't affect change the way we want from centralized locations like powerful social media channels. Like, they made a huge mistake, CNN did, by pissing off Joe Rogan over his medications he was taking. They attacked him, they made fun of him, they belittled him, they insulted him, so he went after him. And Joe Rogan, one social media, the big superstar, is 10 times what the most trusted name in news is, CNN, who have had, over 30 years to create a brand, right, to make themselves the most powerful news organization. They are only 1/10 the size of one dude who sat on his channel and got stoned with Elon Musk. Funny stuff. But I would recommend not panic, but urgency, not in just storing food, not in getting ammunition, but everything, all of the prep to action things. Sense of urgency with regard to politics. Right, there we go. Now let's move on, if we shall. We got Jay Clifton back. He said, when they find out this solution is doing more harm than good, is that when you think things will touch off kinetically? What Jay is talking about, when they find out the solution that the medical industry has said will cure all of our problems, right? That's the solution we're talking about here. When we find out, we, the people, find out that it's doing more harm than good, will things get wild and hairy? That's why they need to control the narrative. That's why they need to silence this guy. That's why they need to silence you and deafen us, right? If they can make all the talkers go away, all the channels go away, then you can't hear. Free speech is also free hearing. I should have the right to hear whoever the fuck I want. And by silencing people, they have affected my ability to hear information I want. right? Everyone out there who wants to hear me talk about cerveza bug in an unrestricted manner, those who want to hear me talk about the LGB crowd in an unrestricted manner, those who want to hear me talk about how we get politicians in office, our political system, and I'm being silenced over it. People are being deafened. That is wrong, and it's a crime. It's a fucking crime. They're going to control the media, Jay, so we can't hear how the final solution. That's what Hitler called his program, folks, the final solution to solving their problems, the final solution. The solution we've been offered is do what all of the experts say. Obey the mandates of Joe Biden. That's their solution. We are going to know on the street because we're finding out right now that it's doing more harm than good. The statistics are coming out now saying it's doing more harm than good. Do statistics lie? Well, they can be made to lie. I mean, how many people have you heard about that aren't doing well, that are having reactions, that have died from the solution, the final solution? What was proffered up today was the idea, and it's been popular, but it's coming up again, is, well, if they're going to try a hostile takeover of the country, they're going to want as many people truly sick as they can, so they can't resist. It's a mess they've created, folks. They've done it intentionally. I think this is one of the most dastardly attacks on America ever. It is an attack. It is dastardly. It is evil. Telling kids they're going to have superpowers. I'm hearing about it everywhere. And folks, it is a partisan issue. It breaks down on party lines. Unbelievable. Let's go. Brandon checks in. He says, follow-up comment. Store employee pointed out I had an excessive cart full of canned proteins. I simply said I'm planning a large camping trip. Now, that is a very popular answer. Well, me and the boys are going to go out for a few weeks. We're going to go hunting. You know, we're going to pack the camper full of food. Another one is, I'm buying all this so I can donate it to people who are hungry. Do you owe the truth to a store clerk? Do you have to admit what you're doing to someone who doesn't matter? No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, what you don't want to do is attract attention. I'm sure you don't want to just look at them and say, hey, why don't you go fuck yourself? You don't want to do that. Just tell them, yeah, camping trip, going for several weeks. Boy Scouts, I'm having a huge party at a wedding. You know, we're going to have a down home, hillbilly fucking picnic. Good stuff. Steve, USMC No Tolerance checks in. He says, this is for John. He says, you will know when SHTF, you will know SHTF is it when you see me sitting on a shelf at Sam's Club. Oh, man, the last thing you're going to want, folks, is to see Steve on a shelf at Sam's Club. Thank you, brother. And please keep doing what you do. Get prepared. Talk to others. There's not much else we can do. There's not much else we can do other than get prepared. You can prep to action. Sadly, the action we take is still, and it's probably at this point the most valuable use of our time, is telling others to get prepared. It is beyond obvious now that they've fucked up the entire country. I spent most of the day reading about shipping problems, trucks, container ships, ports. I spent a good deal of the day reading about hospitals also. Okay. Politics is the other part, with all the elections on the East Coast. Lots to talk about, folks. Lots going wrong. Not a whole lot going right, except, if you want to say some of the things that are going right, is we, the people, are fighting back against our political enemies to the extent that we're successful in pissing them off, which means they in turn are going to respond in a retaliatory fashion and make our lives much, much more difficult. Those are the facts, folks. That is how this plays out. Anytime we oppose the left, they come back and attack us with more of what power they do have. It is incredible. It is unbelievable. And what they're doing is unconscionable. And they don't care. No sirree Bob, folks, they don't care. So for now, I'm going to let you go. I want you to have a good evening. I want you to rest. I want you to eat well. I want you to hug your kids, hug your spouse, hug your significant other, hug your parents. But do this. Go through all of your supplies. Spend time. Look at everything and say, where am I short? Where am I not paying attention? Look out your window. Look at the street. Spend some time on it. How am I going to defend myself? How many allies do I truly have? Am I on my own? What kind of local politics are there that could help me or hurt me? What type of state politics are there that could hurt me or help me? Right? Really sit down and assess where you're at in your head. Do you think problems, real Mad Max type problems, are 1 month away or 1 year away or going to be non-existent in your area? Right? It'll be in that city over there or that state over there, but it's not going to be in your city and your state. What if you're wrong? Should you have a plan just in case? Right? The plan doesn't cost you anything. And I'll ask you this. If something wrong happens in that city over there or that state right next door, are you going to participate? How will you react? What actions will you take with respect to that problem in that city or in that state? Are you going to get involved? Are you going to go help people? Right? If we see shit-it's-a-fan hotspots, meltdowns, if you see these cities melting down, will you take food and try and go help people? A lot of people are going to do that, folks. They're going to want to help people in these areas where food can't be brought in because it's been stopped or there's shortages. It's going to be hard times, folks. They're doing it on purpose, sadly. Are you prepared? All right, Semper Fi means always faithful. Godspeed, meaning let's get it done. And chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. And oh, by the way, the R Syndicate is your clearinghouse for all channels prepping. Go there and check out anything you need to find. If you're not going to the thepreparedmind.club, right, you should be going to the R Syndicate to find other people who are sharing valuable information about what is happening and what is to come.